Back in 2013, a project was launched on a crowdfunding website called Kickstarter. This project was to create a digital watch that could connect with your iPhone or Android phone. The Pebble, as it was known, raised a record amount of money for this project, $10.3 million, and it started selling in July of that year. Smartwatches were hardly a thing even just 2 years ago, and rumors had been circulating about Apple unveiling their so-called iWatch. Many other companies, including Samsung, were trying to jump on board, but I was a skeptic of not only the Pebble, but of the watch market in general. I didn't think Pebble would catch on, and even thought of different ideas that Apple or Google could introduce to get something better on the market, while there still may have been an interest. But the Pebble continued to pick up momentum, and at CES of 2014, they came out with their next version, the Pebble Steel. Now, I know it may be a bit late for me to be reviewing this, but since the new Apple Watch is coming out in a few months and wearable technology is looking to be the hit technology of 2015, I figured I better get a leg up on this and beat the flood of wearable-related content destined to take hold later this year. The Pebble Steel is basically the original Pebble watch all grown up. Dressed in matte black and stainless steel, this is Pebble's attempt at creating a watch for those looking to wear a smartwatch that doesn't raise an eyebrow. It has all the same features as the old Pebble smartwatch, such as the e-paper display that can be read in direct sunlight, Bluetooth, water resistance, and now tons of apps. But it has a thinner body, tactile metal buttons which are surprisingly intuitive and easy to pick up on almost instantly, and that e-paper display is now covered in scratch-resistant Gorilla Glass, which for anyone wanting the screen to stay in decent-looking and readable condition is a lifesaver. Coming from a guy who has large-ish arms, the Pebble Steel didn't feel like some kind of miniature technology I was keeping on my wrist. I felt that way both about the body of the watch itself and of the screen. The screen is a decent size for viewing glances of information and even for playing a few mini-games. It's the same size as the screen that was on the original Pebble, but it just feels bigger because of the smaller bezel. If it were a touchscreen, I might have different opinions, but the fact is that it isn't, and that gives Pebble the benefit of the doubt. It also comes with the option of 2 bands, a leather band which kind of takes away that whole being able to get wet thing, and then a steel band which gives that feature back. I have a feeling more people are going to prefer the steel band, but I prefer the leather for 2 reasons. I feel the leather and the buckle gives it a more professional look, but the other reason is comfort. Now that buckle on the leather band does get rather irritating after some time wearing it, but due to my genetics giving me a decent amount of hair on my arms, the steel band felt less like a watch and more like a pair of tweezers going to town on my arms. Charging this watch is a great experience. It's a magnetic charger, so there are no latches or buttons to worry about. The charger was changed from the last version, so if you have a Pebble Steel and the original Pebble, they will require different chargers. But that brings me to the battery life on this thing. I got 5 days without a single charge, and if you are immersed in gadgets that use battery power as much as I am, you know how ridiculous this is for a gadget. But this comes from the e-paper display not having too much detail to display, not having Wi-Fi or many other features the Moto 360 or Samsung's wearables would have. Now on to using the watch. After spending a good 2 weeks with this watch, I have come to grow very used to many of its features and actually quite reliant on a few others. The different watch faces are great, and being the weather bug I am, I love the one that comes with the weather channel just below the time and date. In fact, all of the watch faces and the vast majority of apps really made this device much less of a Bluetooth peripheral and more of an independent gadget. But what really hit it home for me is the notifications, which I feel are going to be a huge part, if not essential, in every wearable technology that comes to the market. Everything from text messages to CNN updates and even tweets appearing on my wrist was great when I would either have my hands busy with something else or my phone was in a different place. Also, getting a vibrating notification on my wrist when I had an incoming call helped a ton when my phone would be on silent and I couldn't hear it or feel it. This is what brings me to the one major downside I have about this watch, and it is the lack of being able to respond to notifications from the watch itself. I know that with the lack of buttons it would probably be impractical, and there are even a few apps in the Pebble App Store that are actually trying to work with this, but Pebble should really try at attempting something where you can message directly from the watch, and at least try it for Android phones, Because let's be serious, Apple would never authorize iMessage on any wearable except if they were the ones making it. Now, to close out this review, I want to say right here that I vastly underestimated the Pebble and now the Pebble Steel for what they could be. Originally, I was comparing them to what I thought the Apple Watch was going to be or what the Moto 360 and many others already were. The Pebble itself is a unique device for a certain group of people looking for a certain type of wearable. The Pebble, to me, is kind of the Kindle of the smartwatch market. Whereas it may not have a great display like your cell phone, it may not have apps that run like the one on your cell phone, but it is not meant to be that. The Pebble fills the void that many devices like the Apple Watch or the Moto 360 will not be able to fill for a very long time. Being waterproof, drop-dead simple to use, and having a battery that can last for days as opposed to hours. And the Pebble Steel adds on to this by taking it from what looked like a hacker's toy to something that looks like it would be designed for corporate use. Not being able to use it as a messaging device on my wrist bums me out, but after really getting to experience this watch over the last 2 weeks, for $200, this would be the bare minimum I could see myself going with should I decide to invest in a smartwatch in the near future.